Hi, my name is Leon Rowe, currency trader and trading coach at trading180.com, and welcome to this week's Forex supply and demand technical analysis. And if you are a new watcher, welcome, and if you are returning, welcome back. The currency pairs are timestamped in the description box below, so you can skip to your favorite currency pairs. And I hope you had a great trading week last week, and looking forward to the new trading week. Now, before I get started on the technicals, I just wanted to go over something that I put in the fundamental analysis course to assist traders in really kind of determining currency strength and weakness, and why do I trade fundamentals. And for the guys out there, and obviously the ladies as well that have been following me for a while, you'll know that I'm a fundamental trader first. Value, right, is what I'm looking for, and you determine value via basically the fundamentals. You can't really determine value from technical analysis alone. And so I look for my fundamental bias, right, and also sentiment as well. And I'm looking at obviously my fundamental data, right, which is basically a site called Trading Economics, right? And if you go to trading economics countries, in fact, what I'll do is I'll go to the site, right, and you can watch the fundamental analysis course. When you sign up to the free levels, I'll send you an email, automatic email, which has the password for the course, right? And then when you scroll down, what you're going to see is this fundamental analysis sheet, right? If you click on there, it's going to take you to this fundamental analysis sheet, and I get my fundamental bias on what I really want to buy and sell, and currency value versus currency weakness, what's potentially undervalued, etc., from a site called Trading Economics. So you go to tradingeconomics.com, and then you go to indicators, right, go to countries, it brings you to this page, and then from there what you do is you look at the United States and so on and so forth, right? So if you were to go back a sec, and then you look for euro area, etc., right? Now you'll notice if you sign up to the course and that, right? But what I've got and what I do is I have all my tabs open, right? As soon as I open up my Chrome browser, so I can switch between all of the economic indicators pages, right? And what I do is I base my buying and selling decisions off of my fundamental analysis on GDP growth, business cycle, interest rates cycle, inflation, etc., right? And policies, trade balance, and so on and so forth. So again, if you want to know a bit more about the fundamental analysis course, it's absolutely free. Just sign up. The link is in the description box below, right? And when you do, when you watch the course, you'll understand why I've basically put dollar as being a bullish, euro as being neutral. You've got your ratings here, or say your ratings, but what I consider the ratings of each currency or country's currency, right? And again, this is just my opinions, and these are the just some fundamental analysis resources and sentiment analysis resources. And I just want to also say is that this is fundamentally based only on the data. This hasn't got anything to do with sentiment analysis like risk on and risk off. So we know that in a perfect world, when risk is on, right, and there's no worries in the world and everything's brilliant, right, the Japanese yen at the moment and the Swiss franc aren't necessarily the greatest places for investors to put their money, right, for various reasons, which you'll learn again in the fundamental course. But if risk is off, so there's trade wars going on, there's some economic or financial crisis globally, then what you'll have, and even kind of say globally, but like for example elections and things like that, where a lot of uncertainty going on in a particular country, then the Japanese yen and the Swiss franc will benefit from uncertainty. So this is just my opinion based off of the fundamentals, and it can, you know, it's not set in stone when it comes to you know, don't look at this and go, okay, I'm going to be shorting the, you know, the yen because I've you know, Leon's got a neutral bearish stance. They obviously, if it's risk off, then you may want to be looking to buy the Japanese yen. And sentiment analysis resource I get from various sources, but one of the major ones is a Guardian blog, which I find extremely useful, and they give pretty much you know, the day's analysis, and you'll start to see that if you click on you know, the 10th of August, Trump basically said that he was going to hit Turkey with higher tariffs, and Turkey, you know, being a part of Europe, there are, you know, fears that if Europe goes into a or Turkey goes into a, you know, into financial crisis, why Turkey is in trouble, it could affect the rest of Europe. So again, a lot of uncertainty, and you'll see on the charts as well that you know, the euro yen and the Swiss franc really kind of strengthened. You know, there was a flight to safety into those currencies. So you'll see late on Friday, you know, what happened on the chart. So really, the fundamentals of sentiment and value is really the reason for price movement, as well as, you know, the zero sum game as well, element to trading, you know, stop hunting and things like that. But generally, it's about value, right? And where traders are putting their money and protecting their gains, or trying to make gains, right? So again, I will try to update this. Last update was, you know, today. I'm recording this on the Saturday, 11th of August, and I will update it as and when I feel it's probably necessary to update these, right? And again, just compare what it is that you want to buy or sell. Again, do your own research. I'm not a financial advisor. This is just to help those traders who are interested in fundamentals, you know, determine when they do their sentiment analysis and you know, fundamental analysis, maybe what they should be placing, what category they should be placing, or looking to place, you know, a certain currency, right? And then you can see where, you know, the market will potentially range, which is strong currencies versus strong currencies, or weak currencies versus weak currencies, and you know, where currencies are likely to trend, which is basically when you have a strong currency versus a weak currency, right? So again, you'll see this, and then you'll start to look at the charts and see exactly why, for example, we're on a you know, bearish trend on the New Zealand dollar, US dollar, for example. But let's get into the technicals now, right? And let's get into the Dow Jones Dollar Index, right? So this week we have a few levels. If we zoom out a little bit on the daily chart, and pretty much from last week, the dollar index, dollar obviously got, you know, stronger. A lot of bullish news came out, and we're up into this supply zone. So if you are looking to short the dollar, right, and take advantage of some you know, some dollar profit taking potentially, I'm not a fan of you know, basically taking profit, right, at levels. I'm trying to fade strength. I'm not really a fan of that. I'll wait for a pullback into a demand zone before looking to buy. But again, if you do want to take advantage of, you know, some dollar weakness, right, you wouldn't necessarily be shorting the dollar here. What you'd be looking to do is looking for, you know, supply zones on, for example, the dollar yen, dollar Swiss, and then trying to short it on those currency pairs. And if you're looking to buy the dollar, you'd have to wait for probably the dollar to potentially pull back into some sort of demand zone before looking to buy. And again, if that corresponds to a currency, you know, a dollar pair, then you would just basically wait for that to come down and then look for buying opportunities at demand zones within these currency pairs as well. But for now, you know, we're up into these this demand zone here, sorry, this supply zone here. So potential profit taking short if you're looking to fade the top, if you're looking to get into you know, still you know, trade with the trend, then you know, this would be a first area to look to try and get long. Now I also have the supply and demand technical analysis basics here. So but what I'll do is I won't get into it on this currency pair, or this currency I should say, or this index. I'll get into it on the next one, which is the dollar yen. So dollar yen, last week we pretty much had prices, what do we have, 1 2 3 4 5, right? So prices were around here. Week before we did have a move up, prices have come back down again, risk being kind of switching between on and off, but mainly off. We've got the, you know, Trump trade wars with China and the rest of the world, you know, hanging over the currency markets, so the yen could potentially strengthen, as you've seen. But if you want to be a buyer of the dollar, right, first of all, we look to determine potential value, right? So supply and demand zones, which we've already drawn out, which again you get for, you know, if you sign up to the email, you get these delivered to you or sent to you every week, right? And we're down into this this demand zone right now, and then we want to look to determine value ranges, right? Now value ranges are just pretty much understanding that markets range more than they trend, right? And trends occur within ranging markets on some sort of higher time frame, right? I've got a video on that, again, link in the description box below. So what I do is I try to look for where the, you know, prices could potentially range from, and I'm looking for something. 1 second. All right, template, value range tool, right? So value ranges just basically tell me that where prices are likely to range from. So we know this is an expensive area potentially because prices couldn't, you know, basically be pushed higher, and this is a cheap area, right, for the dollar, because you can see buying coming up, you know, here. So demand being an area of value potentially, this could be the cheap area. So if you're looking to buy, you're looking to buy probably around this low, right? And this yellow golden area is what we call fair value, right? So if you're looking to buy the dollar into some dollar strength, right, this is where you'd be looking to buy. Again, keep your eye on obviously the dollar index, right, and where you are there. If you're looking, if we do get some dollar weakness, what you could see is prices, if prices do come up here during the week, right, and then on an intraday time frame, you could be shorting at any one of these supply levels, right? So what you would do is you would zoom down into potentially a 4-hour chart, wait for prices to come up into, you know, any one of these supply zones in conjunction with what's happening on the dollar index. If you see some weakness on there and prices are here, then you would be looking to potentially short. And obviously if you're keeping your eye on sentiment and then and risk is off, then this could be a decent trade to the downside, right? But if you are looking to buy the yen, this is going to be potentially an expensive area. You're pretty much buying at the lows, right? So like I said, going back to value ranges, we don't know where prices are going to range from here or from here. If we go back to the daily time frame chart, right, so each one of these demand zones is where we could potentially see price start to range between, right? So this is what I would pretty much do. This is just some TA basics on supply and demand, and then what we do is we determine supply and demand order equation, which is basically just seeing where other traders potentially may be looking to take buy and sell trades, which adds to the supply and demand order equation. So we look for horizontal support and resistance. So for example, we have a level around here, and why would we draw it around there? And it's really simply because other traders, you know, trade support and resistance, right? So you can see here where we had support and resistance, bounced off of here, and then you had, you know, basically this strong move up. And again, we potentially could have, you know, a reaction there. And if you want to get a bit more precision, then what you would do is you'd go zoom down into a lower time frame chart and potentially look for any intraday levels as well, where you could see where you get some support and resistance, where you've got support there, resistance, 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 bit of resistance there, support, support, you see what I'm saying? And now you get that level just above the demand zone. It did come into the demand zone. What I preferably want is for support and resistance levels within the demand zone. So at the lower end of that demand zone, you can start to see where you've got a level of resistance, bit of resistance there, bit of resistance, bit of support, support, resistance, support. So if I was looking to buy, this would be here, would be the optimum level, right? Is because I have a demand confluence, you know, at this area here, right? And then you would probably look for, maybe if you get some, you know, round numbers or half numbers as well, you know, within this level, round number would probably be around here, which it did touch and, you know, reacted. We also look for diagonal support and resistance, which is basically just trend lines. So just again, zoomed out on the daily, you're looking for any confluence and joining the lows from, you know, lower highs and lower lows, and seeing if that lines up with, you know, any areas here. Last week we did get something, and we did get a reaction. You can look at the last video that I did, where I was basically, you know, predicting that there should be some sort of price action, you know, around somewhere around these this diagonal support and resistance here in this area, and we did get it. But obviously we don't know how far prices are going to moved about 100 pips or so. So if you did get in around here, well done to you, from probably the week before. And then obviously we've broken the trend line, right? And there aren't any other obvious trend lines, but we would draw them to the downside and to the upside and see if you get any confluence, and that would add to the supply and demand equation. And then we would look for dynamic support and resistance, which is really just the popular MAs, which is the 100 and the 200, right? And see if it comes up into this area, which the 100, these are the EMAs and the SMAs. Let me just put this on as well so you can see. You've got the EMA and the simple moving average, and this 100, looks like the EMA is coming up into this demand zone. So if prices do come down into this area here, you're gonna potentially have some confluence with the 200 EMA as well. If it does come, you know, prices do end up, or the moving averages do end up coming into this demand zone, right? And then you look at obviously the 21 and the 50, which is probably going to be right above it. We did get it last week where we had confluence here in that demand zone, right, with the 50, right? And then you see the prices move higher, right? So that's pretty much how we well, use supply and demand. The technical analysis basics, there's a lot more that goes into my analysis, right, when I'm looking to trade. You can check that out on the website, right? So again, if you're looking to buy or sell, go to blank, take those off. This will be your first area to buy, and these supply zones will be really your first areas to try to look for short trades. So let's look for to the next currency pair, which is the dollar Swiss. Dollar Swiss, again, you would just apply the same for every currency pair, supply and demand basics. I'm gonna, you know, pretty much whiz through this. If anybody does want me to do, you know, a bit more analysis on any of the currency pairs, just send me an email or a you know, a comment in the section box below, and I'll make a video for you and put it on YouTube for you, so you can see pretty much the analysis to the upside or the downside. Otherwise this video is going to be extremely long if I do this for every single currency pair. So I'm going to kind of go through, but you can apply exactly the same analysis, and again, watch the fundamental analysis, and then it will kind of you won't necessarily have to do it both sides. You can choose, your fundamental bias, and then if you want to be a buyer of the dollar over the Swiss, then all you would need to do is look for buy trades. You're not interested in supply zones, but if you're looking to buy the Swiss, then you wouldn't be looking for demand zones. That's how it pretty much works. It makes your job a whole lot easier as a trader. Just wait for prices to come to where you want it to come to. I want to be a buyer of this pair, so I'm looking for prices to come down into demand zones. I'm not concerned about supply zones if I'm looking to be a buyer of the dollar, right? So so what we want to do is, right now we're up into this supply zone here on the daily, and that's from this lower high, lower low, right? And again, I also advise you to watch my introduction into supply and demand to get a better understanding of why I draw the supply and demand zones, where I do lower highs, lower lows, highs and lows, right? We've come back up into this zone here, supply zone, and if you're looking to get short, this would be your first short, this would be your second short, anywhere around here. And again, when you get wide areas like this, just look for confluences like horizontal, support and resistance, diagonal and dynamic, right? If you're looking to be a buyer, here is where probably your first area is going to be, and maybe probably the better position or location would be to probably buy if prices do get some weakness in this pair. Then look to be a buyer anywhere around this 9-8 round number. I'm really looking for prices to potentially come down here. Don't know whether it's going to happen this week, but sometime soon if we do get some dollar weakness or profit taking, right? Moving on to the dollar CAD. Dollar CAD, we came down into this demand zone here, right? There was actually a previous demand zone right here from last week. It's about there, and prices have created a new demand zone. It did react off of it, and prices have obviously gone to the upside. So anyone who took that trade, again, well done to you. Now we're coming up into this demand zone here, sorry, the supply zone, and potentially some shorts coming in to, well, say shorts, but we could get some dollar weakness. If you're looking to buy the dollar, this would be again your first area to look for buy trades on the dollar CAD. Going on to the New Zealand dollar, US dollar, right? And we got this week pretty much a big sell-off, and this is from dollar strength and really New Zealand fundamental and sentiment weakness, right? Coming into the markets, if you keep your eye on the fundamentals, you'll know exactly why. So at the moment, you've got prices are in this demand zone here. Potentially we could see buy trades, and again, because you've got this wide demand zone, what you really want to do is look for really, I would say, support and resistance areas. So the first one I can kind of spot would be somewhere around that area there, because you've got support, bit of support, bit of resistance, but support there as well. Maybe you might want to drag it up slightly. So I'd probably say within this, prices maybe come down to this 0.65 half number, and then probably down to the 65 round number, which would be around here, the bottom of this support and resistance zone, before looking for a buy trade. If you're looking for a sell trade, which I am, basically you have to wait for price to either come all the way back up here, or for price to create a lower low and a lower high, which would then mean that this becomes an area of supply, and then you'd be waiting for a short trade to the downside, right? If that does happen, I'll update you this week, but as it stands for now, this is going to be your first area to try and look to get short. Right now there are some buying opportunities for the New Zealand dollar. Moving on to the pound dollar. again, it's just been really weak, and this is more of a sentiment play. Brexit, you know, within the next probably 7-8 months, I think it's got to be decided by sometime in March, whether it's going to be soft Brexit or a hard Brexit, deal or no deal. So even though you're probably looking at, you know, the fundamentals, sentiment is always key when taking into account, you know, why you're buying and selling, right? And the reason why, if you don't know about Brexit, it's the split from, you know, Britain and the within the European Union, in regards to things like you know, trade deals and customs and tariffs and things like that. Businesses are, you know, uncertain. So over the next, you know, 6 months to a year, if you're a big business, why are you investing in Britain, right? If you're unsure of what, you know, regulation is going to be, taxes going to be, government, etc., right? And what's going to happen with Europe, and really the relationship with, you know, Britain and Europe and the rest of the world. You know, you're going to be a bit skeptical. You're probably going to hold back, etc., right? So you're starting to see, you know, the effect of this, right? Uncertainty, even though Britain isn't necessarily fundamentally in a really bad place compared to, you know, other countries. It's just the Brexit sentiment is, and the uncertainty of Brexit is hanging over it, which is the reason why you're seeing, you know, these types of moves to the downside, right? Investors are not really keen on, you know, investing in the pound. So if you do want to, you know, take advantage of the technicals or your thing, and you know, you're just purely technical based, right now you're looking at you know, buying opportunities within this demand zone. The next supply zone is really here. There is no hidden supply anywhere. So again, same like the I would say the New Zealand dollar, US dollar, where you'd have to wait for lower highs and lower lows to be made before looking to you know, to establish maybe a new level of supply where you can try and take advantage of potentially this you know, quarterly downtrend, right? So those are your two areas at the moment. Moving on to the pound yen, we have, you know, prices again falling, right? Pound is pretty been falling for, you know, the past week or two. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, about nearly 2 weeks, right? And again, I expect it to probably, you know, keep falling. Markets never go straight in a straight line for you know, any, you know, major length of time. So expect profit taking, expect to pull back, and then obviously if we can see something where we can try and get short on, then we'll look to potentially get short. Well, I am anyway, for the foreseeable future. But right now, if you're looking to buy the pound, right, this would be your first level. If you're looking to short the pound, this would be your next level here, right? Moving on to the pound Swiss, and we are down into this demand zone. Haven't taken it off, even though we've kind of, you know, pierced through it wick wise. I'll keep it on there for this week, and this will be your first buy, your first sell. If this breaks and, you know, get some convincing closes below it, then, you know, the next level to really buy, if you're looking to buy the pound versus the Swiss, is going to be around here. Moving on to the euro dollar, and the euro, again, uncertainty around Turkey, you know, really kind of pushed the dollar down on Friday. And again, if you know, Turkey's problems are sorted, then you may see potentially, you know, a bit of some profit taking pullback, you know, establishment of new, you know, longs, if this is potentially undervalued here. If not, in fact, I didn't put it on, but this is going to be your supply zone. And sorry guys, I was looking for something, I just can't find it. There's a little box that normally comes up, and where I can switch it to supply. Maybe it's behind here. Anyway, yeah, this would be your first area to try and get short right here. Again, look for price action potentially if you're looking to get long. Yeah, I think those are really your two main levels, and then obviously if prices, you know, break above there, this would be your second area to try and get short, and this would be your second area to try and get long. And again, just apply the technical analysis basics, right, to your trading, right, and you'll see where potentially, you know, other traders looking to get in, and where profit taking is going on, where people are establishing new buy and sell trades, and why you would want to get into those positions. So euro yen, again, euro suffering from sentiment problems regarding Turkey, and you can see risk off, and you can see obviously the benefit of that in the Japanese yen coming down into this level of demand, right? And so you've got a level here where you can see support and a bit of resistance potentially. Yeah, let's have a look, spread this all the way back. Yeah, so it's probably around here as well where you've got a bit of a wide zone, but it's here where you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you've got some reaction there, right? So potentially you could see prices are obviously coming down into this zone again. From a fundamental, you know, point of view, I probably would want to be buying more the euro than the Japanese yen, but from a risk off perspective, you know, we could see further downside. This would be your first area to look for a buy. If prices pull back, this would be your first area to potentially sell, right? This week, euro pound, and the euro pound has come right up into the top of this supply zone here, and you can see where it's you know, it's sold off. If you're looking to buy the euro over the pound, this is going to be your first area to try and look to get long. Sorry, excuse me. Try to look to get long. Yeah, if you took advantage of this short on an intraday time frame, nice bearish engulfing candle at the top of this area, but I didn't get involved in that one, not this week. Again, you'd probably be looking for, if you're looking to get short, maybe look for prices to try and, you know, maybe sort of double top, and you can see really if we get a value range tool from that low to that high, and then you go here, you can see prices, we had a bit of a, you know, what traders would call a false breakout. I call this more of a stop hunt, where you've had, you know, prices ranging within this 0.93 level, and it's 0.8, is that 86 level. So you had 1, 2, 3 touch, you know, stop hunt, and then so price has been really within this range here. So you've had the top of this level, this is fair value around here. So if prices do come back down into fair value and to be a buyer of the euro, this would be a decent level. Anywhere below fair value, if you're looking to buy the euro, is better. If you're looking to buy the pound, this is going to be obviously your cheap area to buy the pound. So yeah, probably wait for more of a pullback though, or potentially a you know, a lower high, lower low. Could wait for a swing to come in if it does, right? So what I mean by that is you might want to wait for a bit of a pullback into a level before looking to get short, and if that aligns with some level of support and resistance, right, then look to get short within that overall supply zone. Moving on to the Euro Swiss, and again some negative sentiment, but we're down into this demand zone here. The only thing is, if you zoom all the way out, it doesn't really got anything lined up from a support and resistance level, but no matter if this starts to turn around here around this 113 level, again you want to be a buyer of the euro, then you'll be looking to potentially get long here, and this is going to be your first short if we get it this week or into the next week. Otherwise, you know, the next demand zone is way down here. So see this as quite a I wouldn't call it a key level, but it's a demand zone where you've got a massive kind of gap, but then prices could obviously create, you know, a demand zone as well, even if it, you know, could do something like this, not even reach down there, start to make higher highs, and if it does, right, do something like that, then this would be your level of demand. But again, until that happens, this is your demand zone right here. So again, just probably look for, if you've got a little bit of structure, tiny bit where you've got, you know, prices bounced off of here once, twice. So the lower end would be where, if you're looking to buy, potentially could be there. Well, looks like there's a little bit there as well. Drag that slightly higher, so that it comes into this area here as well, where it bounced there, bounce, right? And potentially we could see some price action to the upside. Moving on to the EURUSD, and move that up a bit. So right now, pretty much broken out of what we would have considered, you know, this range between this low and this high, and there was again a demand zone here, but I took it off. That's where the demand zone was, right? But we pretty much, you know, gone through there, and this is where the range prices were ranging for about a good 3 weeks or so, 3-4 weeks, a month or so. Yeah, August, July, yeah. But as we've broken out of that now, this is going to be where your first supply zone is, right? And this is potentially, if we go lower, right, then this would be, you know, lower highs and lower lows, and then you'd create your supply zone. Oh, this would be where your supply zone would be. But again, until that happens, right now, we're in a bit of again, no man's land, where we're just in between supply and demand zones. So probably wait for prices to either come down to this demand zone in here, or up to this supply zone right here, before looking to establish any longs or shorts. The Australian dollar, US dollar, we've come down right into the lower end now of this demand zone, where we've been ranging for, again, about a month, from that low to that high, and some traders would again consider that a breakout. So we could see prices continue lower, right? Or we could see you know, prices you know, from this demand zone anyway, could potentially, you know, retrace all the way back, right? So if you're looking to buy, then you'd be looking pretty, again, lower time frame. This could be potentially a stop hunt. So if you do see prices really kind of reverse sharply at this level, then you could potentially see, again, I would say this would be evidence, or the probabilities of a stop hunt, and you may want to see, and if you did see that, what you'd want to do, or what I'd be looking to do, is look for something like this. So sharp move up, and then a pullback, and then a move higher, right? Because why is this, you know, stop hunt? Because there'll be traders placing their stops below obvious structures, right? They're placing their stops all the way below here, right? And not getting to stop hunting, but you get stop hunts here, and then if you see some dollar weakness and some Australian dollar strength, you could see prices move, you know, up slightly, and then you start to see where the stop hunt is actually taking place. And finally, actually, matter of fact, let's go back into supply zones. Right, so supply zone, I'm gonna put this one on here, one right here, and we've got supply zone, right, so it's right there. So if you see anything, see prices come back up and you want to again get short, then that's where you're looking to get short. And lastly, you've got the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. Again, we've got this range where we've really been ranging from, you know, this low to this high here, this low to this high, this high to this low, and then we're basically right at the low. Now, if you're looking to buy the Australian dollar, this is going to be, you know, the cheapest area to buy. If you get some price action around here, if you're looking to short, then you'd be shorting into fair value where this supply zone is right here, right? So that's pretty much where your options are. We do break down further into this zone. Again, it's quite wide zone of demand. What we'd be doing is looking for areas where there are, you know, some confluences of support and resistance. So the first one would probably be somewhere around here. I would probably say the 79 round number. Again, probably just wait for, you know, some sort of price action before looking to get you know, long. If we're looking to get long on this pair, right? Actually, maybe they might not be the best level, the best area. 1 second. All right, so I can see probably around here. There's a lot of spikes, but I say spikes, but a lot of wicks. But you've got 1, 2, yeah. This is more of a better level. So you can see where prices have reacted into this level anyway. But again, if I would say probably it's a bit of a tricky one. I would say probably there would be the next level. And I know it's a wide zone, but you get support, breakout, bit of support and resistance within this area here, right? So within this area, the markets aren't perfect, so you'd be looking for, again, just buy trades within that 79 area to 78 area. So it's 100 pips, but again, just look for structures or creative new structures that happen within the market. So hope you enjoyed it. If you do, again, have any questions, or you want me to go into some technical analysis basics for you in a video, just leave a comment in the section box below, just saying which pair you want me to go into in a bit more depth, in case you need some help. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share if you like the video. Again, just send me any comments that you want, and I'll endeavor to get back to you ASAP. So I hope you have a great trading week, and take care. So if you'd like to receive the best supply and demand Forex levels absolutely free, click on the link in the description box below, enter your email address, and we'll send you the levels that we have just analyzed in this video. You'll get all of the major Forex currency pairs, and you'll get regular updates and never miss a Forex trading opportunity.